The Boeing 757, considered to be one of the safest planes in the aviation industry. It's so well known, people call it the pencil plane. But in 1996, a 757 stalls at a high altitude. What caused the first fatal accident of the 757? The answer of this mystery is not found until investigators consider a weird yet understandable cause. But no matter what it is, it won't change the fact that 189 people died. The cause of this is so simple, you will think I'm joking. This is the story of Birgenair Flight 301. Gregoria Luperon International Airport. Many flights leave and enter the airport every day. February 6, 1996. Among the flights was an 11-year-old 757 owned by Birgenair, which was sitting at the airport untouched for 3 weeks. Originally, the plane was delivered to Eastern Airlines registered as N516EA. After the airline's bankruptcy, it was delivered to Nation Air, then transferred to Bergen where the registration number was set to TC-GEN. The plane will be stopping over at Gander Airport in Canada, Berlin-Schönefeld Airport in Germany, before reaching its destination in Frankfurt Airport, also located in Germany. There were 176 passengers and 13 crew members. It takes almost 20 minutes for the full crew to board. However, it did not delay the flight heavily. The people in Puerto Plata would have been sleeping at this time, but for the pilots, it was just another day at work. 61-year-old Captain Ahmad Erdem, a senior pilot in the airline which has logged almost 24,000 flight hours, but only 1,000 hours on the 757. Alongside him was 34-year-old First Officer Akut Bergen, which has 3,000 flight hours and 71 hours on the 757. And a relief pilot, 51-year-old. He has about 15,000 flight hours. 167 passengers were German and 9 from Poland. The crew had 11 Turkish and 2 Dominicans. At 11:41 p.m. The plane is aligned on the runway. The first officer will be handling the plane's instruments on board the aircraft while the captain flies the aircraft. All 3 pilots on board begin their takeoff roll. As they do so, a slight rain begins to fall, but nothing too serious to abort their takeoff. The 757 was one of the first planes to use the system known as fly-by-wire, which uses sensors to feed the advanced flight computers on board. The first officer calls out 80 knots, as they are about to pass 100 knots. The captain then realizes something was wrong. His airspeed indicator was malfunctioning, and it was stuck on 40 to 30 knots. Both flight computers of the first officer and captain should show the same readings. But despite of this malfunction, however, the captain decided to continue. 150 knots, V1, the point of no return. The captain lifts his plane up into the dark sky ahead. A minute 30 seconds later, the pilots activated the autopilot in command of the aircraft. They will continue to climb to their assigned cruising altitude. Passing 4,000 feet, the captain notices his airspeed indicator read 350 knots. Since the autopilot was in command, the system increases the pitch of the aircraft, trying to lose the speed. Things get even more confusing when the first officer sees that his indicator showed the complete opposite, that the plane was in fact too slow. However, in the cold dark night like this, the pilots were baffled by the readings. The pilots discussed how to deal with this situation when they decided to reset the flight computer's circuit breakers just to see if it's a more serious problem. Resetting the circuit breakers should reset the flight computers and fix the problem. The relief pilot resets the breakers. This somehow caused the plane to have multiple contradictory warnings at the same time, that the plane was too fast, too slow, too low, and etc. Due to the amount of warnings, the autopilot reaches its limit and disengages completely. Flight 301 were throwing multiple confusing warnings to the pilots. The captain told the relief pilot to reset the circuit breakers again to see if the problem would be fixed. He pushes it, and all the warnings went cold. Things were now back to normal, but the problem was still not fixed. The captain's airspeed indicator still showed that the plane was flying at 350 knots, 10 knots faster than what the plane was built to fly on, and the risk of the plane suddenly tearing itself apart was rising. With no more options to choose, Captain Ahmed pulls back on his throttles, with disastrous results. In order to fly an aircraft, the plane must be in a normal speed. Too fast and the plane could rip itself apart, but too slow and the plane will cause an aerodynamic stall. In the cockpit, the stall stick shaker alarm blares violently, shaking the control column of the pilots. The plane is shaking and turning left and right in an unstable way. At this point, the captain should know that his plane was stalling, but for some reason, he doesn't. The relief pilot and first officer can see the ongoing problem and keeps advising the captain to pull the nose down. Somehow, they don't intervene directly. The 757 at this rate loses all its airflow and completely stalls. At one last-ditch effort, the captain increases the power on the engines, trying to recover from the stall. However, due to the extreme maneuvers, this causes the left engine to flame out. Without the power on the left engine, more drag was put on the right engine, causing the plane to swirl uncontrollably. 11:47 p.m., just 6 minutes after takeoff. The ground proximity alarm sounded, detecting the ocean below. The plane slammed fast and hard onto the ocean below. At the air traffic control station, the plane was lost from radar. The next day, investigators from the NTSB was given a job to determine what caused this accident. In the black box data, they only knew one thing was for certain. The new indicator system of the plane somehow malfunctioned. So in order to answer the mystery, they had to retrieve the plane's pitot tube sensors. Pitot tubes are small sticks poking out of the nose of the aircraft. As the plane accelerates, the tubes suck in air and converts them into flight data for the onboard systems. During maintenance, the tubes must be covered to protect them from damage. Maybe a maintenance worker forgotten to remove the covers and ultimately caused the system to malfunction. However, this was not the case as there was a lack of evidence. Months goes by and the investigators has made no progress. They thought of something so unexpected you will think I'm joking. In Gregoria Airport, there were numerous reports of insect hives constructed in planes' pitot tubes. In Chapter 1, I said that the plane was sitting at the airport untouched for 3 weeks. That is more than enough time for any insect to build a living in the tubes. To be more specific, a mud dauber wasp. These wasps have a reputation to build their hives in very rounded circular shapes like the pitot tubes. Flight 301's pitot tubes was unfortunately not found, but due to all the evidence they have, this was the official cause of the accident. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, quickly gave airlines recommendation to change the way they inspect the pitot tubes. However, a few months later, in October 2nd, 1996, Aero Peru Flight 603 took off from Miami International Airport, where it experienced the same failure as Flight 301. That flight's pitot tube was covered by tape. It crashed a few miles off the coast of Miami. After the crash, there were no more pitot tubes related accidents following the years, and the 757 continues to live with a legacy we have forgotten. A memorial stands in Frankfurt's main cemetery, paying respect to the victims of Flight 301. Hello everyone, before the video ends, I'm glad you made it this far. So recently I have been seeing the videos where I took the time to research compared to the videos that were not really well thought out has a drastic difference when it comes to getting an audience. Like this video of me just editing a dude in a cat costume to my well thought out video of the British Airways 777 incident that happened in 2015. They both have a 700 view difference. I hate this damn YouTube algorithm. It makes no sense. A video I spent 2 weeks just to make compared to a video I made in 4 minutes. YouTube fucking promotes the one that I don't think deserves a future. I want to use my passion for aviation, not random videos I made at 3 AM. I just do those for fun, just to share them, but I don't want to be the meme guy, you know? So in conclusion, I'm trying to say is that maybe it is a good thing you share this to your friends or anyone in general if you think they will find this educational. That is definitely not an excuse for watch time, seriously. One last thing to say is consider subscribing to my channel. I post memes and more air accident related videos. Although we don't talk about my old editing, I'm currently trying to improve my videos, as you can tell if you go watch some of my old ones. Enough of me rambling around. Thanks for watching.
Delivery Malaysia 370, good morning.
Malaysian 370 standby and Malaysian 6 is cleared to Frankfurt via Agota Alpha departure 3000.